had always thought I had the perfect life. I was married to a beautiful woman, had a successful career, and everything seemed to be falling into place. For years, I thought we were a team inseparable. We shared so many dreams, built a future together, and honestly, I was convinced that we had the kind of relationship that would last a lifetime. But that all changed when I began noticing things. Small things at first, things I could easily brush off as nothing. But eventually, those small things became bigger signs. Before we dive in, please subscribe. It means the world to us and helps us bring you more amazing stories. It started with her work. She was coming home later and later, which at first didn't seem like a big deal. Maybe she was busy with some important projects, or maybe there was just a surge in her workload. I convinced myself it was work stress, just a temporary phase. But then things started shifting in ways I couldn't ignore. One day I noticed her behavior was changing. She would get off the phone quickly, especially when I walked into the room. She'd smile and say, "Oh, just talking to Sarah." But something in her tone felt rehearsed, like she was lying. Her eyes darted to the side too quickly, and the conversation she used to have in front of me now became private. If I asked her who she was texting, she'd close her phone and say, "Just a friend," with a nervous laugh. And that was it. She would never say more. I brushed it off again, told myself it was nothing, but deep down I felt a gnawing sense of unease. The next sign came when she started dressing differently. Now, I know this might sound like something small, but there was something off about it. She had always been casually dressed, but now she was wearing tighter clothes, dressing up more for work, and looking almost as if she were going somewhere after work. She would even spend more time in front of the mirror putting on makeup as though she had something to prove. When I asked, she always gave the same excuse, just trying to look nice for work. But deep inside, I could feel that this wasn't just about looking good for the office. I was lying to myself. I couldn't deny it anymore. My wife was hiding something from me, and I had to know what it was. But confronting her without proof, accusing her without evidence didn't feel right. What if I was wrong? What if I was being paranoid? I needed answers, but I didn't know how to get them. That's when I started thinking about spying on her. I know it's not something I'm proud of, but the suspicion was eating away at me. I had to know for sure. And that's when I did something I never thought I would do. I hid recorders around the house. I know it sounds insane, but I felt trapped by my own uncertainty. I started small, placing one in the living room, another under the bed, and one more near the hallway. I told myself it was just to get some clarity, to settle my restless mind. But deep down, I knew what I was doing was crossing a line that if she found out, it would destroy everything. I was willing to take that risk, though. The doubt in my mind was unbearable. I needed to know if my worst fears were true. For days, I waited. The silence was deafening. Every time she left the house, I'd rush to the recorders. Every time she came home, I'd play them back. Each click of the recorder felt like a shot of adrenaline in my veins. But there was nothing. Day after day, I heard nothing out of the ordinary. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. And then one day, I pressed play on the recorder in the living room and I heard her voice, but not the way I was used to. It was different. The tone was lighter, more flirtatious, and there was something about it that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. At first, I thought I was mistaken, but then I heard the conversation more clearly. She was talking to a man I didn't know. She laughed at his jokes. She asked him about his day, and there was a familiarity in her voice that wasn't there when she talked to me. She spoke to him like she'd known him for years, like she was comfortable with him in ways that were so foreign to me. And then I heard her say something that made my stomach drop. Tonight, same place as last time. I could feel the blood drain from my face. Couldn't believe it. My hands shook as I hit pause. I sat there in the dark, the words echoing in my mind. I needed to hear more. I couldn't stop myself. I pressed play again. The recording continued. They talked about meeting later, about getting a drink, about keeping it quiet, and then a kiss. I could hear it clearly, the sound of a kiss on the other end of the line. My wife was kissing someone else. My mind was racing, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't know what to think, didn't know what to feel. The betrayal hit me like a tidal wave and I felt like I couldn't breathe. I had the proof. There was no denying it now. She was seeing someone else. She was lying to me and I had the evidence. But still, I was paralyzed. What was I supposed to do with this? How could I confront her about it? What if she denied it? Or worse, what if she turned it back on me? The fear of the unknown was almost worse than the betrayal itself. But I had to do something. I had to confront her. I couldn't live with the suspicion hanging over me any longer. I couldn't stay in this dark place of doubt. I waited for her to come home that night, and when she did, I didn't waste any time. I grabbed the recorder and walked up to her. She looked at me, surprised to see me standing there holding it in my hands. "What's this?" she asked, her voice trembling. I didn't say anything. I just pressed play. The look on her face when she heard herself on the recorder was one I'll never forget. Her eyes widened and her face turned pale. She didn't speak for a long moment. Then she dropped her head, the weight of what she had done sinking in. I didn't want you to find out this way," she said, her voice small, almost apologetic. "You're seeing someone else, aren't you?" I asked, my voice shaking with the rawness of the moment. "Who is he? How long has this been going on?" Her eyes filled with tears and she couldn't look at me. "I never meant for it to happen," she whispered. It just did. I was numb. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't process the reality of what was happening. She told me everything after that. How she had started seeing him months ago. How they had gotten closer. How she had stopped loving me in ways she hadn't known how to explain. The hurt in her eyes was real, but it didn't matter anymore. I couldn't understand how she could do this to me. How she could lie to me for so long. "I'm sorry," she kept saying. "I never wanted to hurt you. I just didn't know how to stop." The words were meaningless now. I could barely hear her over the pounding in my head. Everything I thought I knew about our relationship was a lie. The foundation of my life, the one I thought was solid and unshakable, was crumbling before my eyes. "Why didn't you just tell me?" I asked, my voice raw with emotion. "Why didn't you come to me instead of hiding it from me? Why didn't you just tell me you didn't love me anymore?" "I was afraid," she admitted, tears falling freely now. "I didn't want to lose you. I didn't want to be alone. But I was alone now. She had already left me. The woman I loved had already betrayed me, and I couldn't undo it." I stood there staring at her, trying to make sense of everything. But the reality was too much to bear. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I didn't know who I was anymore. My entire world had been turned upside down. And the worst part was that I didn't know how to make it stop. But over time, I started to heal. It didn't happen quickly. It took months. I had to rebuild my life piece by piece. I had to learn how to trust again, how to love myself again. It wasn't easy, but I did it. And I realized something. Sometimes the truth is the hardest thing to hear. But it's the only way to find peace. It's the only way to heal. No matter how painful, no matter how much it hurts, knowing the truth is the first step toward moving forward. So, if you're watching this and you're going through something similar, if you feel betrayed or lost, just know that you're not alone. The truth may hurt, but it will set you free. And even though it feels like the end, it's just the beginning of something new. Thank you for listening. Share your story with me in the comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Let's heal together.